All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday. And those of you that missed the Chateau Mouton Rothschild tasting, well, once in a lifetime event. And, whenever I get a bottle like the 1959 Mouton, a perfect example like this one that was sold at Christie's in London, England, a week before I was born, February 27th, 1969. A good friend and collector had it in his cellar its whole entire life up until a year ago when he brought it to me. And, I didn't put this wine up on the website and try to sell it for $2,000 or $3,000. I said, we're going to do a Chateau Mouton Rothschild vertical tasting and experience it along with 9 other vintages with a group full of wine-drinking people. And what an incredible evening it was. At Cafe Maxx in the back room, 20 tasters got to enjoy these 10 vintages of this great first growth. And, Chateau Mouton Rothschild didn't start out as a first growth. It's the only wine ever to be elevated from the second growth category to the first growth. And the great Baron, the late great Baron Philippe de Rothschild, he was a great advocate for Bordeaux as a region, and then, of course, for his own property. But, he was the first of the Rothschild family to move into Bordeaux in the 1920s and really begin to improve this property and work hard at promoting his own wine. And like I said, all the other wines of Bordeaux benefited. So in 1973, they decided to give the Baron his biddings and increase his category from a second to a first growth, the only wine ever to do that. Like I said, a very important man in the wine industry as a whole. He partnered with Robert Mondavi for the great Opus One project, the greatest success story in our time for a new winery, 30,000 cases sold all over the world at $200 a bottle or more. Well, Mouton Rothschild's more expensive than that. The new release you'll pay over $500 for, the 2012. And the 2010, the last great vintage, over $1,000 a bottle. And we don't like to buy green bananas, but I'm telling you, these 2010s are going to need 20 or 30 years. Hey, the 1986 still needs 20 years. This is a great wine and in great vintages. You can keep it 50 years or more, like this 59, which was just spectacular. Well, I did manage to get a few bottles of the L'Argent, which is the incredibly rare white wine that Mouton makes, and everybody wanted to order some last night, even at $150. It is one of the greatest white wines that will ever pass your lips. And we don't have a bottle here to sell, so there's no point in talking about it. But the 1959, even though we don't have any to sell, it is worth talking about. One of the greatest vintages in the history of Bordeaux, in my opinion. Every 59 we've ever shown has really stunned the crowd. And on this evening, the wine of the night. And, a good amount of fruit left still in the nose. I kept all these wines till the second day, and the next morning, incredible, the bouquet still in this wine. Red currant, cassis fruit, notes of dried tobacco, light smoke, fine herbs, coffee, really complex. And like I said, opened up the entire evening, still good on the second day in my glass here at the store. This wine just had this smooth and silky texture, really lovely richness of fruit, spice, lovely complex earth aromas lifting from the glass. This wine had it all and more. Lovely balance and a long finish, still quite fresh and lively. This wine got, 8 votes for first place and 5 votes for second place, making this the wine of the night. With our 20 tasters, most excellent juice. The 1966 is a vintage that you can find some pretty damn good values here. This wine still had a lot of nice tobacco spice and cigar box and dried herbs and gravelly, minerally notes, and a bit of fruit still present here. Not quite as dark and rich as the 59, but smooth and silky on the tongue with a nice tangy finish with that cigar box spice echoing there and light smoky notes. A little bit shy in the fruit department, but at this point in its life, it should be. This one did get a vote for first and 2 votes for second place. Excellent juice. The 70, this was kind of the underling on the table to me, but still excellent. It had dried tobacco spice in the nose, earth, a little hint of red plum fruit there, light truffle and mushroom notes on the palate. This wine's got nice balance, albeit a bit light on that red cherry and currant berry fruits. Fine tannins and still nice freshness and minerality, though. Got 1 vote for second place. The 82 Mouton, wow, right off the bat, this wine just jumped out of the glass. This is the vintage that made Robert Parker Jr. famous. He said it was an incredible vintage, one of the greatest vintages in Bordeaux. The other members of the press from England and the old France said, Robert Parker, what do you know, you stupid Sud American, and he turned out to be right. These 82s still very young and vibrant. A load of coffee, cedar, cassis berry fruit, fresh plowed earth just got bigger and bigger as the night went on, and a big and expansive wine on the tongue with an array of that tobacco, toffee, coffee spice, loamy, earthy notes. Still has a lot of tannins on the finish left, though. This wine needs some more time, but lovely lush fruit on the second day. This wine's still spectacular. We need another 20 years in the bottle for this one. It got 5 votes for first and 7 votes for second, making it the number 2 wine of the night overall. The 85 vintage, a real crowd pleaser. The 85s are just drinking beautifully right now. Everything in perfect balance. Lovely cedar and cigar box spice. The roasted coffee really opens up quickly on the nose. Some red currant berry fruit. Nice complexity here. And this vintage is all about balance. Nothing sticks out here. Really lovely, soft and velvety texture on the tongue. This was one of the wines of the night in terms of drinkability and the expense. You can buy the 85s for a fraction of the cost of some other vintages. It only got 90 points, but like I said, these wines always show beautifully. This wine showing very high in the immediate gratification factor. It got a vote for first and a vote for second, but most excellent juice, my vote for the best wine to just pop open and drink of the bunch. The 1986 is a little monster. Man, this wine is darker than the 2000 in color. Just a host of dark currant berry fruit, dark, damp, black earth, really complex aromas here, black truffle. Still very youthful, though, and needed some time to open up, though. This one, the most backward of all the ones when you opened it up. Just in the next morning when I came in, I put my nose in the glass, and incredible what was still coming out of this wine. And a lot of sweet fruit. This wine's still a baby. It needs a little patience. If you have the patience for 20 years, I recommend if you open it up today, put it in a decanter for 10 or 12 hours before you drink it. This wine got no votes for first or second place. I couldn't believe it. It's a 100-point wine from Robert Parker, so I had to give it a vote for first place. I think this is one of the real treasures, this 86 vintage of Mouton. Killer juice. One of the all-time great vintages for Mouton. The 1988... this is a vintage that's a little bit austere, still some mint and tobacco spice, though. Nice complexity on the nose, a little bit lean in the fruit category. Some green peppercorn, some light smoke rounding out the bouquet here. Truffly, earthy notes coming out of the wine opens up. Definitely a lighter style, though, of Mouton. And really nice structure and depth, though. A bit austere when the fruit in the fruit category, but nice spice, tobacco, and coffee notes on the finish. Fine tannins and lovely freshness. This wine's got nice balance, but just a little bit shy in the fruit department. It did get 2 votes for first and 1 vote for second. Excellent juice. And the 89, this was a really hot year in Bordeaux. This was before temperature-controlled fermentation took hold in most wineries. So even though the vintage was great, some people like Mouton didn't make their best wines. They kind of missed the mark a little bit. Somewhat evolved on the nose, but still very pleasant. And opens up fairly quickly with currant berry fruit, dried tobacco spice, coffee, toffee notes on the nose, smooth and silky on the tongue. You can tell this wine at or near its peak right now. Very drinkable. And a lot of pretty red berry fruit still in it. That classic Mouton spice and terroir showing through. This did get a vote for first and a vote for second, though. So a crowd favorite among some of the people here. Excellent juice. The 96, still very young. My favorite vintage in the 90s is 96. This wine had a lot of dark tobacco spice, dried herbs, and a beefy aroma when you first opened it up, but that blew off, turning into dark currants and cassis, kind of some fresh loamy notes, some barnyard, really nice complexity on the nose. This wine's still quite large in size on the palate, lots of tannins, even more tannic than the 2000, I thought. Very well endowed in the earth category, lots of fruit, massive tannins. This wine needed a day in the glass also. If you're going to drink this wine, you want it to open up in the morning, 10 or 12 hours. Needs another 2 decades, showing tremendous concentration and depth here. Fruit, acidity, and tannins. Most excellent juice. And it's only got 1 vote for second place. One of the wines of the night for me, but just not showing as well as some of the older wines. The 2000 Mouton. This wine is a classic. What an incredible package they put it together. You know, Mouton since 1945 has been gracing its labels with a famous artist. You've had the likes of Andy Warhol. You've had some very famous people put their artwork on the label over the years. And Mouton, at first, they thought it was something that was tacky. And today, you know, it's kind of cool when you line up the 10 vintages of Mouton and look at the different artists on the label. The 2000, like I said, they really busted out and did something special with the gold embossed lamb. But hey, it's all about what's inside the bottle. This wine had a lovely bouquet to it. Fresh earth coffee, cigar box spice, dried herbs, really lovely fruit here also. Need a little bit of time to come out, but a little more open than the 96 was, I thought initially. But this wine on the second day also really opened up and showed us a lot more of its stuff. This wine got no votes for first or second place. You know, young Bordeaux, like I said, green bananas, something, you know, I don't know why you'd pay $1,000 for the 2000 Mouton. If you wanted to drink a bottle of Mouton Rothschild, pay $600 or $700 for the 1985. It is absolutely delicious right out of the bottle. Hey, still good the second day. All of these wines still good on the second day, even the 59. And the only reason you would open a 2000 up today is for scientific research like we were doing last night. All right, well, you know, we got to finish off with something sweet. And I brought an old dog, the 1988 Climens. And, of course, Dr. Doug Martin was in the house, so you know what's coming up next. Chateau Yquem, 2000 vintage. And even though Chateau Yquem is considered the greatest Sauternes house, and is, if we had 88 Yquem, I think it probably would have stood up to this Climens. But 88, a fantastic vintage. The Climens just singing. Had lovely acidity, lovely richness, peach, decadent apricot fruit, that honey character you get from old Sauternes, candied pineapple, really delicious and lovely balance, lovely length here. The 2000 Yquem also very delicious, a little more on the sweet side. We want a little more acidity in this wine, but still really lovely complexity in both of these Sauternes. Like I said, I'm going to give the edge to the 1988 Climens. And then, of course, you can always get extra at a Wine Watch tasting. Hey, just in case anyone didn't get enough to drink, I opened up a few bottles of the 2009 Petit Mouton in a great vintage like 2009. The second wines of these great growths, some of the best values in Bordeaux. This wine's only $150. You get a taste of Mouton at a fraction of the price, and a wine that you can drink at a much earlier age. The 2009 Petit Mouton was just delicious. That's what we had to drink at our Chateau Mouton Rothschild vertical tasting. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.